Hi everyone, welcome to Here We Are, Brattleboro's community talk show. I'm Wendy O'Connell, and our guest today is Bo Foard. Bo is the founder and owner of Foard Panel Inc, which designs, manufactures, and installs structural insulated panels, and he's going to tell us all about them. He is also co-owner of the Porch Cafe on Putney Road and the Royal Diner on Marlborough Road. He's got both ends of Brattleboro covered. Bo is a member of the Timber Framers Guild, of which he was the president of their board, and has served on many local boards, collaborates with community organizations, and he loves to be in the hustle of the kitchen. Welcome, Bo.
Thank you, Wendy. Thanks for having me on.
It's great to have you on the show. Bo, you grew up by the water.
I did.
Yes.
I did. I grew up down by Annapolis in a town called Severna Park. It's where the Chesapeake Bay meets the Severn River at the corner of the United States Naval Academy.
And so salt water is your friend.
It is. Yeah. I'm very passionate fisherman. That helps me get to the table with some fish. So that's it's a dual purpose thing.
Yeah. Did you fish when you were a kid?
I did. A lot of fishing, a lot of crabbing. I would used to catch my dad soft crabs in the morning for his breakfast. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Soft shell crabs.
Yes, right out of the mud.
And is that pretty much the only place in the country that has soft shell crabs?
No, I mean, well, maybe the Delmarva area has them, but anywhere there's a crab, which they have them in Louisiana as well, the crabs will have to slough, and that's how they get bigger. Yeah, it's an amazing thing to watch that.
Boats are also part of your life?
Yeah, I'm very passionate about boats. I'm down to 2 boats, which makes my wife happy.
Yeah.
But I have one in St. Petersburg, Florida, and one that I keep out on Cape Cod. I fish for the table, so maybe up at the Cape I'm catching striped bass and bluefish and maybe some black sea bass. Those are all great to eat.
I have a feeling that a lot of things lead to the kitchen in your life.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. I actually have my own kitchen in our house. When we built our house, I wanted my own. It's off from everybody else. It's a little strange to do that, but I like my own space.
Well, it's like having an art studio or a
I think
writing
so.
studio.
Maybe we'll call it that.
Let's look at it that way. I think that sounds good. You are, by all accounts, quite a gourmet cook and quite fabulous at pretty much anything you do in the kitchen. So your reputation precedes you.
Well, that's why my wife married me, so she can have all her dinner parties, and so that that's my use in her life.
That's ulterior motive. Yeah. Your wife, by the way, being Melanie Kahn, who is our queen of foragers. Yes. Mushroom fungi foragers.
And a force of nature, and a really awesome person who takes care of everybody in her life, and I'm privileged to be with her.
When you were a kid, were you doing building then?
Maybe when I got into the high school years, not we all built our tree forts and things like that. Building always interested me, and I think I learned how to frame in my junior year in high school. I was on a crew and learned how to lay out and frame.
You did?
Yeah.
So that structure, literal structure, came early for you?
Yeah. I ended up being a cabinet maker in Washington, D.C. too, at an old 100-year-old shop, which was a really great experience as well. So,
I'll bet.
Yeah.
And so were there some old timers there who taught you? Yeah.
And they were from all over the world. There were German cabinet makers, Japanese, and just old school. It was an amazing thing to be part of, and we did all the high-end work for like Georgetown and that part of Washington, D.C. It was really quite an education.
Yeah, amazing education, and also the tools I'm sure that they were using.
Interestingly enough, I ran an old, what's called a square-headed molder, which is a belt-driven machine like you'd find down in Dunkley's, which are from so old and so dangerous, and we had the most modern stuff in the world, but that machine proved to be very versatile in doing some of the custom stuff that we did.
Yeah. Did you go to Dunkley's?
Oh yeah,
you spent time with Lester.
Yeah. Well, anybody that builds and does things around here had to go see Lester to get stuff fixed and pick up your tanks of gas, and so it was just that's old school Brattleboro right there.
Right there. And how is it without him? Do you miss having him there?
Well, him and others, it's thinning out, you know, to get, Brattleboro sheet metal, and it's harder to find, as we all know, as we all call a plumber, we know that. So
yes, that's right.
I moved up here in 1985 chasing the timber frame revival, which happened really over in Allstead and that part of New Hampshire with David Howard and Ted Benson and these folks. And I'd learned about it. I'd walked into a timber frame building in Maryland and was like, what is this? And I wanted to find out. So I read Fine Home Building magazine and learned that it was the rebirth of it was happening up here in New Hampshire, not far away. And I came up here to see what that was, and I learned about panels. And panels are really the sort of the killer app for a timber frame. In the old days, when you built a timber frame, you framed in between the frame and you would lose the depth of the timbers.
Yeah.
But with the panels, they go on the outside of the frame, and then you get to enjoy the whole frame, and also it's a way to super insulate or create a high performance building,
right,
which is the goal of the panels. That's really what they do. We create super energy efficient buildings.
Yes, and your company is continually, it sounds like, improving them and getting them to be more efficient and sustainable, etc.
Yeah, we take the engineering side of this seriously, and what I think we're best known for in New England, in our sort of harsh environment up here that's wet, is building durability.
Yeah.
We really have taken pride. I have an amazing engineer, Paul Melko, and he has led the charge there. And so we want these things to last. And so when you make a building tighter, you've taken away some of the maintenance functions. These old barns lasted forever because they could breathe. So when you insulate something, you create some issues, and so you have to deal with them. So you can't treat a super insulated building the way you would maybe a normal stick frame building that's insulated with fiberglass.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm sure there are a million different details like that, that have come up for you to deal with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you have like 8 acres, right, where you're manufacturing and doing all your work.
Yeah, we're up in West Chesterfield in the industrial park, which has proven to be a great place for us. We've been there, 30 some years.
Really?
And we've built our whole facility there over time. I think we have 5 buildings that we manufacture or work in or process in, and we have our offices there.
Yeah. How many employees?
We run about 35 to 40, seasonally. It runs in that range.
Yep. And you do things there, but also take things on site.
Yeah, that's really what separates us from a lot of the people in our industry, that we are actually in the field. And that's more doable in New England because how condensed it is.
Yeah.
New England has, we can hit all the states within 3, 4, 5 hours and send crews, and that's a lot of feedback. It's a feedback loop to our company, and 2, it's a really necessary thing. When we go out we do a lot of island work, like in Martha's Vineyard, a lot of the islands off the coast of Maine. Labor's can't really afford to live on those islands, so we go out, do our thing, and come back.
So that's actually something that sets you apart, I think, also, right? From
yeah, and I think it's given us great advantages, as I say, that feedback loop to know, and we feel like we eliminate a lot of problems by taking care of that. We'll also send, we do send panels, across the country. Doesn't happen every day, but it does happen. We'll send somebody out there to teach you how to do it.
Did you know that you were creating a business when you started this?
Yeah, well, when I started here in 1985, and I installed for all my competitors at that time, and that was, things were different back then. I was younger, I was 25, and health insurance and those things weren't that important to me, and getting laid off in the winter and going to Mexico was kind of fun. But Foard Panel actually was born 3 months after my daughter was born, my first kid, and that was sort of maybe a pressure I felt like I had to do a little better, and I saw an opportunity, and I felt maybe somewhat underappreciated at the labor end of things, and thought that we got this covered and we'll do pretty well. And a lot of things fell into place, and I've just been blessed. The work ethic of people from Brattleboro. I think our company's known all through New England, and people were pretty impressed with this group of people. People like John Curtis and Joe DeRosia and Fran Shippey, who's been in my office. These are last names you hear in Brattleboro.
Yes,
it's
right.
old school,
Yeah.
and those guys have really made us what we are.
I was just so impressed by your website, and so, getting information from the website, but first of all, it's beautiful because timber frames, for the most part, is what is on your site, are beautiful structurally, but also to see how the panels actually work, like you describing it as an envelope, really enlightened me, to realize what these things are doing. But it was, after reading, it's very clear, it's very easy to read. And after reading, I said, man, I would hire these guys to do anything. There's a really wonderful mix of honesty and competence and confidence.
Awesome.
That comes across.
Well, we're going to talk about our website. We got to talk about Joe Heslin, who's a local marketing person, and I think every business that builds a website, you experience it, you finish it, then a year later it's stale.
Yeah.
And I think we finally have a website that is maybe timeless. It's been around like maybe 4 years now, and I go check it occasionally, and I'm saying it's still working, it's still great. So Joe did a great job with that, and he collaborated with people in my office to come up with all the language. And,
that's so great.
Yeah, we're happy with it.
Yeah, I was happy with it. I mean, it made me happy to go in there. Sometimes you think, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? But it's great. And so along with this, at some point, again, you're on 8 acres, you guys get hungry, you need lunch, and you ended up having a food truck up there, right?
We did. That was the birth of the Porch and Hardy-Foard Catering and my awesome partner, Gretchen Hardy, which I could tell you the story how that happened if you'd like to hear. So Gretchen's brother was a friend of my son, and he was cooking crepes in my kitchen, which,
Your kitchen.
In my kitchen, I made a big deal of it and said, what are you doing cooking crepes in my kitchen? And he said, well, my sister's a chef. And so I learned that about Gretchen, and that she was kind of a ski bum chef at that point of her life. She was, their whole family skis, and they're nuts about it. And she was working on the mountain at a restaurant, and she has a 4-year culinary degree. And when I didn't know all this at the time, but so I said when her mother came to pick up her brother, I said, hey, I want to start a food business with a young person in Brattleboro. I'm really looking for somebody to partner with. And it was 3 years later that Gretchen called me. She had just come home. Things hadn't worked out in Colorado. She was home, and she gave me a call, and I said, well, I used to cook my father-in-law's birthday party every October, and be about 100 people. I said, hey, I got 100 people coming over in like 2 hours. Do you want to come cook? And she was up for it, and she came, and we did it. And then I eventually learned that she had wanted to be a caterer since she was 8 years old or something.
God.
Yeah. And so I said, well, we're going to need a kitchen. And we don't have any events. Like Hardy-Foard Catering is booking weddings next year and the year after. If you don't have a wedding right now, you're not going to do one. We built a food truck. We opened up our little cafe in the industrial park, and then we started looking for catering work. But that kept our doors open and kept things going. Yeah. And we were there for 5 years before we moved to Putney Road.
So. Yep. So you're pretty established in just the intricacies of doing it, of how it was going to work. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Gretchen, I can't say enough about what a chef she is and what she's become. And I have a friend who's a James Beard Award winner, and I've cooked with Barbara Kafka, if you remember Barbara, and that's an amazing experience. And so I put Gretchen up with anybody, and work ethic wise, she's a beast. She's a beautiful beast, but she's amazing, and she's carried the day for us there. And her husband's now involved. It's been really fun starting. Gretchen was 25 years old. I was 50. I've seen her, find a boyfriend. I've seen her get married. I've seen her had a kid. I've seen her buy a house. Yeah. And it's been rewarding on all. And and Melanie is very involved at the Porch too, but only from. She makes the place look good, and sort of the extra, the flowers outside. So
nice.
both of our families are really tight, and we're all very proud of the Porch and Hardy-Foard Catering.
Yeah, and it's so popular. It's so popular. You have regulars and you have irregulars, right?
Yeah, it's insane. It's an institution in a way. It's created. It's been there 10 years, and people love it, and that's their meeting place. People are frustrated that we're not open on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but we're catering,
right?
And
right.
That's the deal. So it's an amazing place,
and the food is great. That's the other piece of it.
That's
you can have the ambience, you can have the spot, you can get the people in, but the food is excellent. And anyone who's experienced the catering for Hardy-Foard knows.
Yeah, they work really hard, and Gretchen's developed a staff, and there's other people that we count on to make things happen. She can't do it by herself.
Right.
I mean, there's 10 people in there every day just cranking. People don't realize that more food goes out the back door than goes out the front door of that business.
For catering.
For catering,
yes. Right,
yeah.
right. No, that's like a whole separate business, I would think.
Yeah, they work really well together. That's what we discovered, because while she needs her prep cooks in the back, and it's just a machine. You have a dishwasher that services both of things, and it's really, we didn't know it, but it came together.
It kind of works,
it came together really well.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's just talk about the Royal Diner.
The Royal Diner.
The Royal Diner, which for many of us, has held a very big place in our hearts in West Brattleboro. And we've seen it, kind of get old and nothing happened. And then all of a sudden we hear, oh, Bo Foard bought that. So we're thinking, okay, what's happening?
Yeah, well, Todd and Janet that owned it, they ran it for 30 years, 7 days a week, 3 meals a day. And we're not going to do that. I don't have the bandwidth for that. And my partner Dave Manning, who went in, we had sold something. We were looking for maybe a distressed piece of property, and initially Dave did not want to do this, and he was probably right. Maybe we shouldn't have. But I'm enjoying it. I'm finding it difficult, to revive it, and the physical plant has, we're always fixing stuff.
Yeah.
And but it is coming together. I have some people there in my kitchen and in front of the house that I think really highly of, and I'm trying to find a model that'll work. Really the only model that works in a restaurant is an owner-operator. Gretchen's in there every day. Her husband's in there every day making it happen. Talk about any restaurant in town, Zach or Michael or these guys. You kind of need to be there, and I want to go fishing, and I want to do other things. And so I'm trying to figure out a way to make it work without having me essential. So. It's starting to work. It's coming together. We're doing 3 days a week there, just Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 11:30 to 8. But the town's coming out. The out-of-state license plates are starting to stop.
I'll bet.
And I'm really happy with the product we're putting out.
Oh, good. That's good.
Yeah.
And also, you're keeping the old part of the diner alive,
essential.
Right?
That's what it's all about. The 1938 Worcester diner car, and
right.
I've been trying to think of what we are and how to relay it and make the place fun. So I got this new idea of it's an Art Deco diner, the style of it. And I've discovered these really cool Art Deco toys online, the old pedal cars.
Oh, cool,
and there's a guy out in California that's reconditioning these. I got one coming, and I think that's going to be our thing. Because I love the kids in the diner, too. I really love seeing the kids and having maybe, it's like a toy museum on a really small scale from that era, though.
Yes.
1938, 40s,
yes.
and sort of that Art Deco
Yes.
look. The sign out there is so amazing. The neon sign, and it's old and it's funky, and I just love it. I mean, it lights up West Brattleboro,
it does.
too. It's really something. And kind of a funny story when. Todd, when I bought it, he said, I had this guy come by and he was going to fix the sign, and then he disappeared. And so one day, probably I had owned Dave and I had owned the place maybe almost a year, and we come in one day and the sign's working. And we're like, what's going on here? And the guy felt so bad that he had promised Todd that he would do this, and he just showed up one day and the signs working.
Wow.
And he didn't send anybody a bill. We didn't know what happened. I had to kind of chase it around to figure out what the deal was.
That was kind of magic.
It was just ecstatic, I love turning on the sign. I don't mind cloudy days, and I can turn it on early, because I love it. And one thing I want to say about the diner is it's been challenging, but I've had, my friends, my close friends have really rallied around me. My friend named Jonathan Wolfman, who, helps me with all the website stuff and marketing, his wife, and they do so much for me. And then my friend Chad Farnham, who's a barbecue enthusiast, I ended up having Chad do some barbecue for my daughter's wedding that we had last summer, and I bought this giant barbecue pit down in Alabama. And so anyway, Chad comes in as a volunteer during the summer, and we've had Chad's Rib Day, and it's been very successful, and we're both looking forward to doing more of it. It's kind of we get there early, and then some of our buddies show up. We drink coffee and light the fire. It's really fun.
That's very cool. Yeah, you've got another thing going on there as well as
Well, that's all part of the shtick. And,
right.
We're trying to do some diner food and those comfort foods in the winter, but we'll be barbecuing. We're always going to have our burgers and our fried chicken and those things. It's super casual, super fun, we hope. We got some things going on with the ice cream too. That's a whole other part of that. Yeah, we make our own ice cream, but I have something going on there that I think is going to be very exciting. I can't really talk because the deal's not done, and I might not be the guy making ice cream next year, but I might be having another company come in. And that's this bandwidth thing that I have, and so just sometimes being at the right place at the right time, and you get lucky. Yeah. And so I think we might have something cool going on, but we haven't signed anything yet.
No, so we're not going to talk about it on the show. Yeah. However, we will look forward to that. I just want to mention it's kind of cool that it's Foard Panel Company, which is insulation, and Chad Farnham, which is Farnham Insulation. The two insulator guys.
And we're good friends. Yeah, and we're both rib guys too. We're rib guys,
right.
And Chad's a wonderful human being, and he's part of my group, which a little bit about my group. But
the men's group.
Yeah, the men's group.
the men's group that you guys have going on, egging each other on in one way or another, and supporting each other.
Yeah, there's some support sometimes.
Right. Do you want to mention anything about your tragic ping pong injury?
Well, I am accident prone, and I have I have like Evel Knievel level injuries, and over the years they haven't happened all at once. But we were at an event. And it was the a cappella singers from, I can't remember, I think it was Yale. And they were having their reunion, and my kids were kind of bored with that, and we went up to the loft and we found a ping pong table, and we were having a little tournament with the Thurber family of West Brattleboro, the Lilac Ridge. Ross and Amanda are dear friends of ours, and we were going, and Ross and I were in the finals. The finals, and Ross is left-handed, and he sent me out really long, and I was wearing some Birkenstocks, and I kind of tripped, and I hit the railing, and the railing opened up like a cat door. Ooh. And I just shot out and went about 12 feet down and smashed on concrete. So anyway, I ended up getting a big surgery. My joke about the whole thing is I ended up with 2 7-inch screws in my, can I say ass?
Sure,
I had 2 7-inch screws in my ass. I said if the 7-inch screws were in the railing, they wouldn't be in my ass at this point. And so, anyway, I did that in front of my whole family. I traumatized them. I got great care, though. I went up to Dartmouth, got the surgery. I was in a wheelchair.
God, I had no idea it was that bad.
I did.
Someone mentioned, a friend of yours mentioned this to me. He said, ask him about the tragic ping pong injury. So I thought it was going to be a funny story. But no, you really suffered.
Yeah, well, there was some funny parts of it. I broke my back in 3 places. I broke my ribs, and I broke my pelvis got crushed like a pencil. But what was funny was, we're at this sort of high-end Yale fame, you know, and it was the first thing you land, you hear, is there a doctor in the house? You know, is there anyone here a doctor? And you're like 7 guys come running out, they're all doctors, so they're all doctors. So I got immediate quick care, and then the young man that picked me up in the ambulance was little Tommy from next door when I lived on Marlboro Avenue.
Oh.
He was now an adult, and
Yeah.
you know, it was
That's
comforting.
sweet.
Yeah.
You have been very involved in the community in so many different ways, Bo. You mentioned NEYT and Ben Stockman coming on
Yeah.
as the director.
Yeah, we did a search and we hired Ben, which is it's amazing on like so many levels. So first of all, NEYT, shout out to Steven Stearns and the people that built it, you know, Jerry Stockman and Sandy Klein and Rick Barron, and these people just dedicated their lives to this amazing thing. This is my second stint on the board at NEYT. I was I don't know how many years ago, I was board president for like 5 years, and then I was away for like 6-7 years, and the place kind of had a shake up. You know, they had some difficulties, and the board left, and really they were sort of rudderless, and Stephen asked me to come back and try to put Humpty Dumpty back together. We're 2 years into it, but the thing about Ben, Ben was in the very first production at the Chinese Theater, and he's very smart. He's passionate about theater. We're so lucky to have him. Okay. But he's one of these 40-year-olds. And you know, we've always said at NEYT, one day our alumni are going to come back. Yeah. And you know, there's an alumni group. We're looking for them to support. We have people on Broadway. You know, we have people down in New York City that have gotten this training. And, you know, that was always, because running small nonprofits right now is really challenging with, we all went through COVID. COVID destroyed a lot of us, and it also propped us up. We got a lot of this PPP money, ERC money, and these things, but they falsely propped us up. And in the meantime, we've had all this inflation.
Right.
And so we're all in a really challenging position now. Not just, I talked to other nonprofit people in town, Lisa Foard over at Boys and Girls Club, or Serenity over at the Circus, and we'll all find ourselves in this spot.
Yes.
So anybody that wants to help out some nonprofits out there, we all can use financial help. And you know what? The other thing that's happened is a lot of people that have supported us are no longer with us.
Yes, right.
People like Phil Steckler,
right.
People like Emily Mason, that were big supporters of the theater.
That's right.
And they're gone now.
Yeah.
And so we need to rebuild that, and we're making our efforts. I'm pretty positive about the theater, but we're all kind of going for it. We don't have these funds that we need. We know what our budget is, but we're going to grind this year to try to make it happen. But yeah, I think the NEYT is, you know, specific to Brattleboro is just an amazing thing. Not many towns have this.
And NECA.
And NECA, awesome.
For the people I've talked with, especially in the last few months, it has been so impressive to me, the energy that they're bringing to enlivening downtown again, you know, and to bring all kinds of different people in. The whole pop-up that they did during the holiday in the old Sam's building, you know, instead of keeping things vacant, both realistically and metaphorically in our town, makes a big difference.
There's a lot of young people engaged with it, and we need it. I mean, we're in a lot of trend. You've been around a long time. We've all seen things come and go. Yeah. And Main Street's hard in any town in America right now.
Oh, right now, it's incredible. I think what's interesting in Brattleboro is that the struggle seems to be paying off. So many individuals that are invested. They're invested in their business, in their family, in living here in the community. So. I'm seeing things brighter than they have been.
Yeah, well, you know, we've had a lot of people move to the area. It's created, you know,
that's true.
The housing issue is probably Brattleboro's biggest issue right now, to find a way to solve that. But we've brought a lot of people into this town. I mean, New England's looking pretty good as a place to live right now as our climate changes.
Yes.
And you know, we have a lot going on up here. It's very special.
What about your goat hat?
My goat hat? I can tell you about my goat hat.
Okay, let's hear about your goat hat.
That's kind of become my trademark. And I've had a lot of fun with it. It's from Big Picture Farm out in Townsend.
Yes.
and my dear friends out there, Louisa and Lucas, are just hardworking. One of my quick stories about that is when Louisa first had the caramels at the farmer's market, like she first pulled them out, she was at Bob Works' stand, the plowman's lunch, and I said, Louisa, nice try, it's cute, but I don't know if it's going anywhere. And like the next year, she won the New York City Food Show, and those guys, just amazing. So I like this hat, I wear this hat, I have this rule, if people ask me about the hat, and maybe you qualify now, I get them one. And I've probably bought 100 of these hats.
Oh my God.
And I've sent them to waitresses in Florida, and it's funny. And I just had this thing where two people in Hawaii that I had given hats to saw each other. and the guy that discovered that, I just sent him a hat. So yeah, I love the goat hat.
That's so great.
Louisa created this. She's an artist as well as...
It's a wonderful drawing.
So that's my goat hat.
That's so great. I love that. Thanks for sharing. I was thinking, for a guy who's spent a lot of time on the water and in the salt water and fishing, you're in a landlocked place here.
Well, I've probably had my run with the Connecticut River and all, but I've spent a lot of time in the Connecticut River. I kept a boat in the Connecticut River forever, and I got into the trout fishing. I've done all that I can do. It's not, but I want to get out to the ocean. And I get my time. I would like more. Melanie and I have to kind of negotiate some of that stuff.
Negotiation, right? Collaboration, connection, negotiation. That's what we're all doing these days. Yeah. And when it pays off, man, it is great.
Yeah.
Bo, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate being on here. It was a fun experience.
Oh, good. That's good. Well, BCTV is here for the community, and I just love getting people on from all the different corners, to come on and talk about what they're doing so we get to know each other better.
Well, thank you. Awesome. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks to all of you for being with us today and for listening to Bo's great stories. Stay tuned, obviously. Stop in at the Porch Cafe on Putney Road, and also just keep your eyes peeled for what's happening at the Royal Diner and probably anything else that Bo's involved in. We don't know what he does, but we know that he's doing good work. So we'll see you next time, and thank you for being with us today.